This will be a good one, guys. It's going to be about the most important thing a guy can have in a relationship right now, 2025, and I think historically, but especially now. I'll explain why. Hopefully, this mic works. I'm trying a new mic. Hopefully, it sounds a little bit better. It's about boundaries. And how significant boundaries are for a man. It's really linked to everything if you think about it. Like, in order to have a woman respect you, you have to have your boundaries, what you're willing and willing not to accept. And it is kind of like, to the degree that they're toxic, it is kind of like a woman's job to poke and prod and stuff. But, obviously there's like the farther ends where it's, narcissism and extreme neediness and a lot of things that are just like, basically you can't win. And again, a very good reason to have boundaries. I would argue that's maybe one of the most dangerous situations to be in, is giving up boundaries with somebody who doesn't have a moral compass or a reason to stop, or will inevitably continue to hurt you, and in a way that would go far beyond a normal healthy woman. So boundaries are for protecting yourself and having your they're not for anyone else. And again, like, there's so many reasons that it's important. And this is why I'm making this video, is because as men in society in 2025, historically, no one cares about men, but especially now, because, how do I put this? I shouldn't say especially now, but because there is a little bit, I would argue women have a lot more of a confusing, as far as the what do you call it? The rhetoric around feminizing. It's basically impossible. The confusion, right? Is like, be a boss woman, don't listen to them. Like, there's a lot of like things that are like contradictory, and there is with men as well. But as men, I think it's like, we always have this thing called time. We can always turn that pain into power, and we have a, obviously it depends, but I gotta make sure I stay on point here. Okay, so damn, I'm losing my train of thought. What is going on today? I'm trying with these videos. I'm just like, maybe I shouldn't film if I'm not like ready, but because I'm kind of spitballing a little too much. But the boundaries are really important. Because the confusion, the real confusion with men is that boundaries, and this is the brutal part, is that society is now telling men that their boundaries are unacceptable, which is such a manipulation. And you cannot buy into that, because in the end, there's no one to cry home to. Hey, I gave up my boundaries. Oh, look at my life fell apart. Oh, this woman abused me. Oh, look at whatever it is. Like, you have to have boundaries as a man. Like, and it's strange right now, because like, the game has changed, and I feel like women they try a lot harder to get over on guys and get them to falter, for lack of a better term, and give up their boundaries, so that the woman has more control. And that's essentially the woman trying to test your masculinity, and then to the degree that you let them do that, then they have more masculinity. Ultimately, they will disrespect you. They won't respect you. Like, this is, and I think it's totally like healthy or unhealthy, women do this because it's a biological imperative to see, you know, is this guy going to be around? Is he going to protect? Like there's so many things in biology that they go against what is now, I mean, at least in what I've seen in society is there's a lot of things that go against the biology, and I'm very open-minded, and I've done some things, and I've very exploratory, and I like to not trust but verify. So but by and large, like, life is tough enough. We don't need a bunch of like crazy shit going on with experimenting with different people's like how do I say this? Like, I would say almost always a woman that, this is why, for example, if like a lesbian woman, or I should say not a lesbian woman, a woman is very dominant, maybe a UFC fighter or someone like there's masculine women there, frankly, those are my type. And you better be an absolute savage. Like, those women, there's always a man who's stronger because men are just taller, stronger, whatever. So even a masculine woman, like, and she can kick most guys' asses. Well, she's just going to find a guy that, eventually she's going to disrespect her man and then want the guy who's the alpha. Like, it's just, women are at their best when they're in the submissive role. It's just, it's the way it is. I'm sorry. Like, long term, I don't think that it's healthy to have it the other way. As much as, it's this, to me, it's the stripper, the stripper and the customer paradigm. The woman with the father issues and the male with the mother issues, and it's like this battle. And that's the way I look at it. It's like, hey mom, like, give me attention, and then you got the whole mistress thing, and then the woman treats the guy like shit, and because he is kind of a shit, he's not a good guy if he's doing that, and it's just this tug of war. And back to boundaries, sorry. And so, yeah, women test guys, and they always will, and it's a feature, not a bug. And yeah, boundaries are for you. As soon as you start giving them up, that's another way of looking at it too, is like, the frame of a guy is what, like, women don't, it's not money, it's not, status. It really is competency in yourself and the future prosperity, which makes sense, because there's plenty of people with money or people that are whatever, and it fades, and it has nothing to do with their competency. The idea is, and that's the thing that shows, if you just pragmatically shows, not just a man, but any individual, but for the sake of argument, a man, like, consistency and competency and like showing for future resources, like, because that is competency and a man in his own frame simultaneously, and that is what, of course, that's attractive. Like, even men are attracted to women that are like that. That's like a healthy person, but especially with a man. And so if you don't have boundaries, you don't have strong boundaries, you're also not creating a frame for the woman to, come into. And so obviously you'd be entering her frame, and then that's like, now you're, it might work for a little while, but I don't know how many times it works. I even a woman that is like very dominant, she may think she wants I swear to God, I'm not talking on my ass about this. I pictured so many relationships, even marriages, that are still going strong right now. But I promise you, like, it works until it doesn't. And if you there's a lot less gap. So your husband's like, kind of taking your lead, and you're married and everything is whatever. But he's in a good spot. He's competent, but it's more of a temperament thing. But all it takes is a little bit from that distance. In other words, if the man was leading and he starts to like kind of falter, you got like this distance. But a man who starts with you leading, if he falls off like into like, a little bit too treating you like his mother, a little bit too much like, not standing up for himself, and like just kind of like, you're going to look, as a woman, you're going to look for that guy who doesn't give a fuck and knows who he is, and is more of the the bad boy. Because and that's very hypothetical, but I hope that makes sense. Like, it can work, but I'm just saying that, don't you want a man that is already at like this certain spot, and then, can kind of rotate with a little bit, like, can kind of let you lead a little bit, but if you're just leading, the guy's in this role, it's just like, by definition, he's not leading. So therefore, like, it seems like an easier way. It seems like a closer route and a harder road to maintain in the long term. It's easier to eventually resent your man, and then it's like, why women rather have a guy be an asshole than be a nice guy. Like, as far as we're talking about just attraction, just that by its basis, and all relationships are based in attraction. So if we're just talking at the very shallow level, it's like that's why, because it's, weak men are never attractive to anyone's society. So to not have your boundaries is basically opening up the floodgates potentially to a downward spiral into hell for a man. A woman can do that, and then she can be the victim. She can be the men love rescuing women. Like, it's not the other way around. And no matter what society, how progressive we get, that'll be the last thing that happens. Everything else can happen. That's never going to happen. And this is the point of the video, this is the beauty of man. I'm here to tell you, this is the beautiful thing about men, is that we have eternal, and like, we have this calling. We should have this calling into being the best version of ourselves and to endure. And it's hard, because in society now, it seems increasingly harder to find like meaning, and especially with like the way everything's set up with like, and families falling apart. Like, a man at his best is just a woman he's providing for, and who loves him and respects him, with some kids that do the same. And there's nothing else in the world. And I know that now. And it's kind of sad that we're not talking about this more. And I think it's only really coming from families that are together that are talking about this, and everyone else is kind of flying by the seat. Everyone else seems to be flying by the seat of their pants, which is always a weird expression, but you know what I mean. It's just, oh, I need validation. Oh, I need a little attention here. Eat the cheeseburger. Just like, kind of like, everyone's just kind of, it's like, fucking calm down, and figure out what's important in life. It doesn't, it's important. Yeah, and I think both parties are missing out a lot not doing that. So anyway, boundaries are very important. If you don't have them, no one else is gonna stand up for you. And if you're, man-child type shit, it's the most brutal, because nobody fucking cares. And when you finally wake up to that, hopefully it's not too late. Like Jordan Peterson says, it could happen in your 40s or happen in your 30s, or even worse, in your 40s. But yeah, it's better to have your set boundaries, and yeah, stick to them, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Otherwise, looking at, I mean, there's a million reasons why it's not good. And yeah, whenever a woman pushes your boundaries and gets really close to pissing you off, especially if you're not even in a relationship, just know that you're a man and they're in real time showing you how intimidated or jealous or attracted or whatever it is. It's all good. Whatever that female is doing to try and get a reaction or to try and get you to go against your boundaries, like, just know you already won, because they're outing themselves as the weaker sex, as the, you know, again, probably attracted to you if you have strong boundaries. Like, women like this. They will never tell you what they want and what they like and what this. It's just confidence and boundaries. It's the most important thing for a man. It probably always has been, but in 2025, I just thought it was worth reiterating because it can be kind of confusing out there. And yeah, we can kind of forget that the boundaries need to endure. All right, guys? Boundaries shall endure. We'll see you in the next one.